So use this as permission to get yourself a new pair of shoes. You're welcome.
Oh goodness. This is a nice sounding principle, but the logic falls away very quickly when you dissect it. 3 years ago, I made this video right here, 22 lessons that improved my life. It was for my 22nd birthday. I wanted to share some life lessons that had really helped me. Now, given the fact that today is my 25th birthday, I thought it'd be fun to take a look down memory lane to see just how much I agree with and also disagree with my younger self. I've learned a lot since then. Quarter life crisis is a bitch. Anyways, it's gonna be fun. Let's go take a look.
Hello my friends and welcome back to the channel. Today is my birthday and I just turned 22.
Oh my god, looking at myself with hair again. So cute.
And in honor of that, I wanted to share 22 life lessons that I've picked up along the way. We're gonna be talking about friendships. We're gonna be talking about life. We're gonna be talking about relationships. We're gonna be talking about money.
Because he had so much money back then that he was definitely qualified to be talking about money. Okay.
Imagine your future and know that you're probably wrong. If you've been following along with my journey, you'll know that I just moved to the East Coast. In fact, I'm in my brand new apartment here in Boston. Apartment tour will be coming soon, I promise.
That apartment tour never came. I don't live there anymore.
But if you had told me 4 years ago, or hell, even at the start of this year, that I'd be here in an apartment in Boston for my 22nd birthday, I would have called you crazy. And what it's taught me is that your future likely won't look anything like what you imagine it to be.
True.
And so instead of expecting it to be a certain way, instead, we can make the effort and try to be accepting of it.
I still generally agree with this, don't expect very specific things from your future because likely it's going to be completely different than what you imagined. I'm an overthinker with a massive planning addiction, and so I love going through the specifics and the minutia of exactly how we're going to accomplish this goal, what it's going to look like, vision board, yada, yada, yada. But I'm realizing now just how useless that is. Like if I look back on all the time that I spent basically daydreaming, lots of that time was just daydreaming about some future specific scenario, when in reality, all that I have in front of me is the work that needs to be done. So I've been shifting my mindset from, have this great grand strategy and instead just focus on the single best action in front of you. I tweeted the other day, stop planning cathedrals, just start laying bricks. And that's my new modus operandi going forward.
Number 3, you won't know until you go.
Oh boy, if it rhymes, it's gotta be true, right?
Now, most of you are probably here because you saw my video of me meeting my girlfriend for the very first time, but if you haven't yet, the basic premise of that video is that you'll never know what the right decision is until you actually make it.
Yeah, so with the entire you won't know until you go thing, yes, that is definitely true, and not just because it rhymes. I think what was naive about that was that there was this hidden implication that if you go, you will like it. You will find something that you like. The maturation of that idea is that you can go and find out that it's not right. You can go and find out that it's wrong. For example, I went back to school and I decided, you know what? I'll go because you won't know until you go. The flip side of that is that it won't always work out. But I still think the principle still stands. Instead of trying to guess and control everything in advance, actually go and run the test.
Lesson number 4. Instead of asking, does this feel right? Ask, how can I make this feel right? Now, if you're anything like me, sometimes we can develop the unhealthy habit of waiting our entire lives for the perfect opportunity to arrive. We want a sign, a clear signal from the great unknown to move in this direction, all the while we're letting opportunity after opportunity pass us by. You see, we spend so much time thinking about whether something feels right or not instead of actually taking the necessary action in order to make it feel right. For example, with my decision to go back to school,
oh boy, let's hear what he says about school.
things really started to change for me when I started asking myself, what doesn't feel right? Oh, it was this thing and this thing and this thing. Oh, okay. So if I actually fixed those issues and found a solution to them, would it then feel right?
The answer was no. He should have listened to himself. I think it's generally a helpful question to ask. Yes, how can I make it feel right? Because it then gets you focused on productive solutions. At the same time, I also think that there's intuition and alignment. There's a difference between does this feel right and does this feel aligned? And I think they operate at different levels. The question of does this feel right operates more so on the level of, okay, what do I not like? What are some of the minutia or the specific things that I don't like? How can I change those? The question of does this feel right in the sense of alignment is a completely different question. I've been trying to get better at differentiating between those two things. What is a problem that can be solved and what is a structural thing that can't be solved. And I should have recognized that with school, as much as you can solve all these other concerns, there are certain realities that are baked into being a student. That said, I don't regret going back to school at all. It was a really good experience. It got me out of the house. I met so many amazing people. But, if I look back on my decision process back then, either way, we learn. It's fine. I'm not going to beat myself up for that. I think I made the best decision that I could with the information that I had. And sometimes it turns out good. Sometimes it turns out bad, right? So that's just life.
The highest level of mastery is simplicity. Most information is irrelevant and most effort is wasted, but only the expert knows what to ignore.
That's such a good quote. I still stand by that.
And here's another James Clear quote because I am a huge Atomic Habits fanboy.
Performative male.
You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
Yeah, this one's really true. And I've been really living this one lately. When I was saying this at the time, I hadn't fully internalized that. I hadn't understood, okay, what is a system? It's more than just habits. It's environmental design, it's forcing functions. I've learned a lot more about, actually here, let me grab the book. Reading this book, Thinking in Systems by Donella Meadows, I've learned a lot more about systems thinking in general. And I think it's really helped me understand this entire idea here. A system is much more than just your atomic habits, so to speak, but it's also various other things as well. And this book talks you through how to actually change systems, whether it's in your life or in the broader world. It's a really, really good book. I would highly recommend it.
Number 9, The Backwards Law. This one's another excerpt from a book that I love, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F*** by Mark Manson.
I don't like that book anymore. I think it's a good starting place. I think the principles are generally, very useful. I think it is self-help 101. These ideas that he talks about are much more eloquently described in primary texts. So for example, reading Maharshi or Krishnamurti or the Bhagavad Gita or reading Alan Watts or Albert Camus, actually reading into philosophy and going into the primary sources, I think you get a lot more from that. That said, I still think it's a good book. So
the desire for more positive experience is itself a negative experience. And paradoxically, the acceptance of one's negative experience is itself a positive experience. It's what the philosopher Alan Watts used to refer to as the backwards law, the idea that the more you pursue feeling better all the time, the less satisfied you become, as pursuing something only reinforces the fact that you lack it in the first place.
Baller. So true. The people who I know that are the least happy are paradoxically the people who are the most obsessed with happiness. For me, I'm not really obsessed with being happy anymore. I'm not actively trying to be happy. And in doing so, I'm actually a lot more satisfied and content because I'm not thinking about it all the time.
So now that we've got all these books and quotes in our system, it's time for lesson 11. Reading books won't make you better. Whoa, then what was the point of all these quotes, all these books? What are you doing here? What is this about?
Yeah, I think that's definitely to myself.
You see, knowledge isn't power, it's only potential power. It's the application of that knowledge that is actual power, and that's what makes all the difference.
Word. Absolute word. I wrote this in my journal. Knowledge is not the same thing as skill. Skill is knowledge applied. Being knowledgeable in philosophy means you know things. Being skilled at philosophy means being able to apply it to your life. Focus on skill mastery, not knowledge acquisition. This right here is the difference between declarative and procedural knowledge. It's something that I need to remind myself all the time. Obviously, if you get into the semantics, perhaps, is there a difference between those two things? How do you define knowledge and skill? But either way, if you take the semantics out of it, this is a general framework that helps me focus on applying the things that I learn as opposed to just storing it all up in here.
Okay, we're halfway through the video. Are y'all doing okay? I'm still doing okay. I need water.
I need water too. Man, this kind of video is fun. I have not done a reaction video or a casual video like this. If you want to see more of these, let me know because I'm having a blast.
So we gotta stay hydrated.
Harmony, baby.
Also, if you're enjoying this video so far, please obliterate the like button. It only takes 3 seconds, and it massively helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. In exchange, here is a cute picture of a capybara.
I'll do one better. Here's a picture of me with a picture of a capybara.
Lesson number 12. You don't actually want complete freedom.
Very subtle with the eagle there.
So when it came time for me to make the decision as to whether or not I was going to go back to school or pursue a different option, one of the main factors in that was me being able to have control over my time. And so for the summer at least, I chose the option that gave me the most freedom. I could do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. I didn't necessarily have to worry about work. And on paper, it sounds great. It sounds fabulous. But once I landed and got into a rhythm, I very quickly realized that complete freedom wasn't actually what I wanted.
Yeah, that's real. So for context, the summer before I went to school, I spent 3 months basically having complete freedom. I moved out, I was living with Annie, and me at that time did not know how to build a good system. And so I was very lazy that entire summer. I didn't post a single video. And so that's where this lesson comes from. Now, where it gets a little bit more sophisticated is where the structure comes from. I thought that going back to school will just immediately solve all my problems and help me lock in because it's this externally imposed structure. But what I've learned about external impositions of structure is that if you don't have the inner scaffolding already, the external structure isn't really going to help you much. What it is a force multiplier. If you have your act together internally and you have good systems in place, you have the discipline, you have all that kind of stuff, going to a place like school, like New York City, or whatever kind of pressure cooker, that will be a force multiplier of the systems that you already have. However, in my case here, I didn't really have systems like that. I did not know what I was doing, and I thought that just going to school would immediately fix all my structural issues. But then, as I've mentioned before, I posted a video like every 7 months or something like that when I was in school. And so I discovered that yes, complete freedom isn't what you want, but externally imposed structure without having the requisite internal scaffolding isn't also what you want. You need to have the internal discipline, the internal fortitude, but then you also need to create the environment around you, whether it is school or, in my case, still being able to dictate my own time, but I have better systems in place, better structure.
If you're like me and you need structure in order to perform and work best, I would encourage you to think, how can I create limitations and structure and routine around myself in order to be the best that I can be?
Yes. This last year has taught me the importance of limitations. As a kid, I absolutely hated any and all limitations. I wanted to be completely free to do whatever I want, whenever I want. But I'm realizing that limitations are what give your calling its shape. Every door that closes behind me opens me up to the next room of possibilities. Every limitation and thing that I cannot do outlines the shape of my calling. And so I think both on the micro level in terms of how you manage your daily productivity, and also on the macro level when it comes to figuring out one's life path, limitations are what give things a solid shape.
Lesson number 13. If worrying won't change it, then stop worrying. I know, easier said than done. Of course, it's a practice. I'm still learning how to do this myself.
Yeah, it's way easier said than done. This last year was definitely the most anxious I've been. I think the difference between Mr. Young Amir over here and myself now was that he hadn't been through financial and legal issues. It's tough to not worry when things seem so huge in your head. But what I'm trying to get better at is differentiating between a wall or a limitation that exists in reality and a limitation that exists only in my head.
So the next 3 lessons all have to do with money.
Oh boy. Like he was qualified to talk about this with his negative bank balance and college student lifestyle. Okay, let's see. Oh God, I'm preparing myself. Woo, it's okay. We're not this person anymore. Okay, breathe, you can do this.
Spend your money where you spend your time. For example, let's say you're working on your feet all day. It makes sense then to invest in a good high quality pair of shoes because you're going to be spending a lot of your time in those shoes. So use this as permission to get yourself a new pair of shoes. You're welcome.
Oh goodness. This is a nice sounding principle, but the logic falls away very quickly when you dissect it. By that logic, anywhere that you spend your time, let's say you commute a lot. So should I then buy a fancy car? Oh, I spend a lot of time on my mattress. Should I then max out the mattress that I get? I don't think that's necessarily the best framework to be making purchasing decisions from because it leads to purchases that don't actually move the needle. The way that I'm thinking about it now, and of course take this all with a grain of salt, I'm still trying to get my money up. The framework that I kind of think of now is this idea of LOGA, likelihood of goal achievement. And so by putting my money into this thing or by putting my time into this thing, does this increase or decrease LOGA? It's as simple as that. If it increases LOGA, do it, barring that the costs aren't crazy. If it decreases LOGA, don't do it.
Nobody will value you more than you value yourself. This one's specifically for all of my freelance creative homies out there. If you're anything like me, whatever you're charging right now, it's probably not enough. So set the bar high. You deserve it.
Oh, that feels so nice. Too bad economics are also a thing and people will say no to that. So you need to price according to the marketplace. Yes, you're probably not charging enough. Yes, be confident and bold in your pricing, but also market realities exist. And also, I think when I was saying this, I was highballing people like crazy for video editing services, which I was doing at the time. I was not that good of an editor. I had no reason to be charging someone as much as I was looking to charge them. Of course they would have said no. So I think you need to be grounded in reality. And that's good that you run the test. You know, you want to see where people are going to actually say no. So, you know, I guess you won't know until you run the test. You won't know until you go. It's true.
The projection principle. I secretly think that everybody hates me.
Still do.
And I know probably a few people do, but the vast majority are very loving, kind people. And so what helps me remember that is this principle. If nobody's explicitly told you that they hate you, but you still assume that they secretly do, you're most likely just projecting your own internal self-judgment and self-criticism onto them.
Yeah, I think that's generally true. It's good to have high evidentiary standards whenever you're forming a new belief. So if I'm going to form the belief that such and such hates me, I need to have really solid objective evidence that is admissible in a court, not just vibes.
Lesson number 20. Fear makes it clear.
Another one. If it rhymes, it has to be true.
Fear is a compass, and most of the time it points us towards true north, towards the thing that's most important for our evolution as people. The fear of the unknown, the fear of rejection, the fear of standing out, everything that's necessary for growth.
This is definitely still a guiding principle in my life. Obviously, there are limits to this. I'm scared of jumping out of a plane without a parachute. Does that mean I should go do that? No, of course not. But my new take on this now, and I tweeted this the other day, if the plan requires courage to start, it's probably the right plan.
Number 21, your gift isn't guaranteed. 2021 was the scariest year in my music career. I lost some of my hearing. I even lost my voice for a month because I injured it, and I also nearly developed tendonitis. All in all, it was terrifying. But what it taught me is that the thing that you love to do the most could be taken away from you just like that.
Oh, I still have my spiel on this memorized.
We delay and defer, postpone and procrastinate, all under the assumption that we can just do it tomorrow. But the thing is, your gift isn't guaranteed tomorrow. So don't wait. Just create.
Another one. If it rhymes, say it with me. It has to be true. But yes, I still think this principle is really good. Something that I reflect on often is my mortality. I think about death daily, you know, memento mori. But sometimes it gets to the point where I worry about it, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I only have such finite time to do all these things. I won't be able to do this. I only have so much time. And then I get worried about not having enough time, both on the macro and also on the micro level. But a realization that I had the other day was that the time that you are so worried about losing is this present moment right now. So instead of worrying that it'll end, be in it. Be here now.
Lesson number 22. When you want nothing, you have everything. This one is a lesson that will probably take me a lifetime to fully understand and fully practice. But here's a quote by Naval that kind of sums up the idea. Desire is a contract that you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want.
My favorite quote of all time, still to this day. Man.
And in the first world, most of our problems stem from not necessarily having too little desire, but from having too many. For example, oh, my seat is so uncomfortable. I wish I had a Herman Miller.
I do now, though. That's pretty nice.
Oh, I wish I had a Tesla. My neighbor drives one and he looks so cool. Or, oh, my coffee is too cold. They should know better. They should know who I am. But of course, not all desire is bad. I think it's just important to be aware of the cost that comes with it. And so my suggestion would be to find a few things that are worth being unhappy over. And whatever that looks like to you, only you can decide that. And as for the rest, let them go.
I'm still learning that lesson to this day, and I always come back to it. He definitely had something there. Well, that, my friends, was my younger self giving life advice. I hope you didn't cringe as much as I did. He definitely had some good things to say, some questionable things to say, but all in all, I think he was trying his best, and I can say I'm proud of my younger self. Anyways, thanks so much for watching this video. I'm gonna go eat some birthday cake now. Take care, bye!